Foreign adversaries gather in China as President Trump sends a few messages of his own. Former Biden aides have some thoughts about President Trump's health. And we're going to look at a free speech crisis brewing in Europe. All of that and so much more today on 10 Minute Drill.
Everybody get up, get up.
The story of America is the story of an adventure.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
We are a nation under God, and I believe God intended for us to be free.
On Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Chinese President Xi Jinping, and North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un all gathered in Beijing. These three American adversaries met to watch a military parade as the world waits for progress in the discussions between Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and President Trump. President Trump reacted on Truth Social. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un as you conspire against the United States of America. President Trump has been pressing Putin to join a trilateral meeting with Ukraine, and Putin has dragged his feet thus far. Here's President Trump answering questions about that in the Oval Office yesterday.
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
On Monday, Irish comedian Graham Linehan was reportedly arrested at Heathrow Airport over tweets that he posted while traveling in the United States. Here's Nigel Farage giving his commentary on it to the United States Congress.
Graham Linehan, the comedy writer, comedic writer, and he put out some tweets months ago when he was in Arizona, and months later he arrives at Heathrow Airport to be met by 5 armed police. This could happen to any American man or woman that goes to Heathrow that has said things online that the British government and British police don't like.
This follows a growing trend in the UK over the last year of people being arrested for social media posts. For example, parents were arrested in January in front of their children and taken to jail for complaining in a private WhatsApp group about how their children's school was taking too long to hire a new head teacher. One of the most famous stories is of a 42-year-old mother named Lucy Connolly, who's in jail for 31 months for posting her support for mass deportations, a tweet that she deleted 3 hours after posting. I'd note that the tweets she posted about mass deportations probably would have around 50 to 60% support here in the United States. But in the United Kingdom, it got her 31 months in jail for hate speech, incitement, and things like that. This follows a bombshell story from 60 Minutes back in February of Germany and their own massive policing problem over speech laws.
It's illegal to display Nazi symbolism, a swastika, or deny the Holocaust. That's clear. Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
German Economic Minister Robert Habeck has bragged about filing 730 complaints over hate speech against his own constituents. And when he says hate speech, that's a very broad term because under their laws, any insult they describe as hate speech and incitement, including one 63-year-old veteran who retweeted a post calling Habeck an idiot. And when you hear them try and make that case that, insults are, quote, hate speech, it reminds me of the wisdom of one smart man.
I have cause. It is because I hate him.
But just for good measure, back to that 60 Minutes segment. Here are these authorities when they're asked how people react to being arrested or threatened with the police over things they post online.
In Germany we say, das wird man wohl doch mal sagen dürfen. So we are here with crimes of talking, posting on internet, and the people are surprised that this is really illegal.
They're surprised? Who would have thought? A big part of President Trump's plans for an energy renaissance include nuclear energy, which is the answer to so many of the biggest energy challenges we currently face. Grid problems, the fact that we need more energy for AI, for data centers, for so many of the developing technologies we have here in America. But Fox News reported last week that there are forces who have organized against this. Web of dark money tied to Obama Dems fuels green opposition to crucial Trump energy plan. What Fox is highlighting is a group of dark money entities who have lined up to try and fight President Trump's efforts on nuclear. Those groups include Union of Concerned Scientists, Nuclear Threat Initiative, Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, and the Sierra Club. Now, when you look at these groups, they are fighting tooth and nail against fossil fuels, oil and gas, the reliable energy resources that we rely on. But they're also fighting nuclear. So you have to ask them, what outcome would they actually be comfortable with? We know wind and solar cannot meet the energy generation needs for our current baseline, let alone where we're going with AI, data centers, and everything else. And when you realize the fact that they just want less energy and less human activity overall, you also have to remember many of these are the same people that are calling on us to stop having children in order to fight climate change. So maybe they just want no humans altogether. On the issue of dark money fighting reliable energy, the Daily Caller has an exclusive from over the weekend. Top House committee opens probe into climate activist group attempting to influence judges. The group they're referring to there is the Climate Judiciary Project, which we have discussed quite a bit here. Just last week, a group of 23 state attorneys general wrote to the EPA calling on them to cut off all federal funding for the Climate Judiciary Project. Now again, just to go all the way back, the Climate Judiciary Project is a dark money enterprise that also has taken money from the Chinese Communist Party that focuses on teaching judges to find fault with energy producers in climate change. The media has been tracking this now for a couple years. Unearthed Chat sheds light on cozy ties between judges, climate activists, raising ethical concerns. But let's go back even further. January 2024, left-wing climate group is quietly preparing judges for global warming cases. A review of Environmental Law Institute policy brief summarizing past events indicates CJP, the Climate Judiciary Project, has reached judges from across the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th federal circuits, some of which are based in New York City, Boston, and Puerto Rico. And here's a kicker. They are closely tied to the very same firm that's actually leading these cases in court, Shear Edling. The Environmental Law Institute, meanwhile, boasts numerous connections to Shear Edling, an eco-law firm representing a number of jurisdictions, including Minnesota, New Jersey, New York City, and San Francisco, in climate nuisance cases against oil corporations, in which plaintiffs argue that the fossil fuel industry has spearheaded a decades-long campaign of deception about global warming risks. And what does this look like in practice? Well, another bombshell report found the Chief Justice of the Hawaii Supreme Court has participated in these indoctrination events. Judge presiding over big oil climate lawsuit reveals connection to plaintiffs' eco-lawyers. And from the Daily Caller in 2022, top state judge handling climate lawsuit worked with the environmental group tied to plaintiffs' lawyers. So you have groups like the Arabella Advisor Dark Money Network that are going out trying to find blue cities and states who will be a part of these lawsuits. They're funding the lawsuits themselves through Shear Edling, and then they're also funding through the Climate Judiciary Project, a part of the Environmental Law Institute. They're funding the indoctrination of the judges who are going to hear these cases. That is an insane scandal. If you are a white farmer in the state of California, Gavin Newsom could be coming for your land as a part of his new Agricultural Equity Initiative. The Washington Free Beacon reports, Gavin Newsom's agricultural equity advisors prepare plan to redistribute farmland to racial minorities. For more than 2 years, the California Agricultural Land Equity Task Force, part of Newsom's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation, has crafted a set of policy recommendations to, quote, equitably increase agricultural land access. It will deliver a final report to Newsom and the California legislature, cementing those recommendations by the end of the year. Note that the Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation, which are both the equity and climate components, are tied together there. But here's what their report so far says. The wealth of the U.S., including that of its agriculture industry, has been built on stolen land and the forced labor of California tribal nations, enslaved African Americans, and other exploited communities who have been systematically excluded from land ownership and wealth building opportunities. So if you thought Kamala Harris's support for taxpayer-funded sex change surgeries for detained illegal immigrants was crazy in the 2024 presidential campaign, get ready for what you're going to see out of the Gavin Newsom 2028 presidential campaign. Redistribution of farmland to racial minorities based on equity is going to make a lot of campaign ads. Yesterday, we talked about how Tim of the Feminine Products Waltz was opining on a campaign-like stage, hoping that President Trump had died. based on the Blue Anon conspiracy theories that after we didn't see President Trump for 2 or 3 days on one of the biggest travel holidays of the year, he might be dead. Well, former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki is one-upping Tim Walz on the insane comment scorecard. Here's Jen.
That one, that's pretty serious stuff. Now, just to be clear, we went in just a very quick span there. We went from Trump saying he hadn't heard about the rumors of his death to Trump saying he did hear about them from reports, to then back to Trump saying he hadn't heard anything about any of it.
So imagine the lack of self-awareness it takes for a former press secretary for Joseph Robinette Biden to come out and ask questions and suggest that it's shady for President Trump to not be seen for 3 days and to posit questions about his health after you participated in the greatest cover-up of all time for Joe Biden. Here's Jen Psaki on that.
I never saw that person, not a single time, and I was in the Oval Office every day, that was on that debate stage. I'm not a doctor. Aging happens quite quickly.
So we thank Jen for her contribution to our You Can't Make It Up segment for this Thursday episode. Jen?
Really can't make this stuff up sometimes.
That is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, as part of a 3-episode week, we're grateful for you. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a comment on Instagram, Twitter, wherever. We are grateful for you. Have a great week.